Remember back when elections used to have consequences? Meet Frederick Prane. He's a dentist, a gun store owner, and until recently, a cranberry farmer. He's also a member of the Wisconsin Natural Resources Board, which sets policy for the state government agency that manages fish, wildlife, air and water resources, etc. Dr. Prane was appointed by Republican Governor Scott Walker in 2015 for a 6-year term. Do the math on that. The term expired more than a year ago, but he doesn't want to leave. He thinks the current Democratic Wisconsin governor should have reappointed him. And anyway, there are important votes that he wanted to be there for. So he simply decided not to leave office. He justified the decision by saying that according to Wisconsin law, he doesn't have to go until his successor is appointed and confirmed. And that's where the state Senate comes in. The Democratic governor of Wisconsin appointed the board member's successor, but the Republican-controlled state Senate has not confirmed that person yet. And if they ever were going to confirm that person, ever since the guy contacted them to say, hey, do I have to leave? They have not lifted a finger to confirm his successor. So the Wisconsin Attorney General sued to remove the guy from the seat that he would not leave voluntarily. But this week, the state Supreme Court ruled that he cannot be forced to go. The justices on the state Supreme Court voted along ideological lines. Now, here's the thing. Wisconsin Supreme Court justices are elected in nonpartisan elections, but the court has somehow found a way to be divided 4-3 conservatives to liberals. So, to recap, you have a Republican appointee who is squatting in a government job to which his appointment has expired, because the Republican Senate will not confirm his successor, and the conservative majority state Supreme Court is on their side. So I have some questions. Is this normal politics involving an idiosyncratic figure who just doesn't want to leave his job and happens to have found a loophole that allows him to keep it? Or is this a coordinated plot between that guy and the Republican-controlled Senate to keep the Democratic governor from exercising all of his powers? Or is it something in between? Is this the way it will be from now on in Wisconsin? And does this have the potential to be a playbook elsewhere in the United States? Joining us now is Barry Burden, professor of political science at the University of Wisconsin and director of the Elections Research Center there. Barry, thanks for being with us this evening. Let's just put a little meat on these bones. Wisconsin's Governor Tony Evers reacted to the Supreme Court ruling in a statement in which he says, in part, today's decision continues to underscore the erosion of democratic institutions at the hands of Republicans in this state. It's wrong-headed, it's short-sighted, and it's politics at its most dangerous, end quote. Do you agree that this is a deliberate erosion of democratic institutions and not just a one-off situation of a guy who won't leave his office and he's found a way to stay?
I do. It seems like an obscure case of a board in some state that most of your viewers probably don't care about and a person they've never heard about. But the Supreme Court essentially has said the state legislature gets to decide how long these people stay. The legislature is controlled by Republicans in large part because of the districts that put them there. And those districts have now locked them in for another decade. It sort of doesn't matter what the popularly elected governor would like to do. Even if a person's term has ended, they may stay in that position indefinitely. They might as well be a Supreme Court justice serving for life.
Our viewers might recall back in 2018, the Republican-controlled legislature voted to strip this governor's office of some of its powers when this current governor won election. So this kind of toying around with what the governor is allowed to do when the legislature is controlled by Republicans has been going on for some time in Wisconsin. Is this an extension of that?
It really is. I would say it's an extension and an escalation of the hardball tactics that the legislative leaders have been using against the governor. As you mentioned, that lame duck session happened just a couple of weeks after Tony Evers was elected in November 2018. By December, the legislature was enacting all kinds of things in a last-ditch effort to try to undercut the incoming governor and the incoming attorney general, both of whom were Democrats. Now, when asked about it, legislative leaders said, we're simply trying to rebalance power between the executive branch and the legislative branch. But the balance did not bother them for the 8 years that Scott Walker, Republican, was governor. Suddenly it did, and they have not only succeeded in most of those lame duck session efforts, they have also refused to approve or even hold hearings on scores of nominees that the governor has made, not just to the Natural Resources Board, but to the University of Wisconsin system and to other boards and commissions around the state. So it's really kneecapping the governor's ability to govern.
Sort of sounds like when Merrick Garland was nominated to the Supreme Court and Mitch McConnell's Senate didn't allow that to move forward.
Yeah, that's right. These are apparently all things that are being done by the rules. There's nothing that says the U.S. Senate must hold a hearing on an open Supreme Court nominee within a certain number of days. And apparently in Wisconsin, there's no rule that someone whose term has expired on a state board must then vacate that position. And so people were simply well behaved until recently. But now, particularly on the Republican side, we're seeing these really aggressive tactics to try to push as far as they can to take advantage of loopholes and technicalities and things that were simply expected, but apparently not required by the law, or at least not by the justices who were in power.
What a remarkable story. Barry, thanks for joining us. We appreciate your time. Barry Burden is a professor of political science and the director of elections research at the University of Wisconsin. We appreciate you joining us this evening.